Please join me in welcoming Ivan.
Hello everyone, good morning. I'm Ivan, co-founder and CEO of Splash Industries. Today I'll be talking to you about drone boats. So drone boats are here, they are here to stay. And in fact, they're so here that we have one patrolling right outside of the convention right now. So I'll be the first to admit that drone boats are nothing new. We have definitely seen systems such as these patrolling around for years at this point. However, what is new is the ease of use and the price point. So many of the systems that you probably encountered in the past, they have been in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. They have required lots of training to use some of the software. That has really prevented the adoption of them for many cases. So today, that is changing. The Typhoon drone boat that we are releasing, that one that is currently on display outside, is a vessel with an 800 nautical mile range, a 50 knot top speed, a 300-pound payload capacity, and it starts at $30,000, which is a pretty big shift in terms of capability and pricing compared to some of the more traditional solutions. Of course, we've seen a lot of interest from the commercial side and the public safety side for our vessels, because it's a lot easier to justify a $30,000 purchase as opposed to a $300,000 or $3 million purchase. It makes a lot of more sense in that case. However, that is definitely concerning to me in many ways because our competitors, our future competitors, may not have the same level of safety that we are building into our drone boats. So for our drone boats, of course, we have a number of safety systems. We lock out the speed near shore. We, of course, vet our customers prior to selling to them. We coordinate with authorities to make sure that everyone knows where these are operating. But when our competitors are going to see just how many of these we are going to be getting out the door, we are definitely going to see copycats that may not follow the same sorts of rigorous safety procedures that we are. And that is definitely a big implication for maritime security. So the tech required to build these has been getting easier and easier to access over the past few years. So with the advent of Starlink as well as cheap, powerful compute, it has become easier and easier to build these. So we're not the only ones that are going to have this sort of technology. The bad guys certainly will have that in the future, and in many cases they already have basic rudimentary versions of this available. So currently we don't have a good way of protecting ourselves against drone boats. As you can imagine, a 350-pound piece of metal with some sort of payload traveling at 50 knots autonomously, that is pretty scary to me. So before I talk about the defenses that we can take, let's actually analyze what sort of drone boats the adversaries may have. So for the purposes of this presentation, I have separated them into three distinct categories. Not by shape, not by size, but actually by the control mechanism for them, because that is going to dictate how you are going to be intercepting them. The most basic version of them are the remote controlled ones. So think of a off-the-shelf RC plane, RC boat, RC drone, controller strapped, retrofitted onto an existing boat or jet ski. Very easy to get into, thankfully, quite easy to jam, quite easy to intercept. As you can imagine, it relies on a direct radio frequency link. So if you can jam that, you can stop the vessel. It has a limited range. Of course, that can be extended with FPV systems the same way you see on aerial drones. But even this rudimentary system is very, very concerning because already these have been used in the Red Sea to sink billions of dollars of cargo, cause worldwide disruption. That is concerning, but it is nowhere near as concerning as our other adversaries, potential adversaries. So what I'm calling here are the semi-autonomous versions. So these may also include a radio frequency link. However, they primarily rely on a GPS signal as well as onboard compute in order to navigate. As you can imagine, that means it's a lot harder to jam them. There is nothing to jam apart from GPS, and as you can imagine, GPS, of course, is pretty important for many other operations in your port, so you generally don't want to be jamming GPS the entire time. They may have some teleoperation, and generally for waypoint navigation, that would potentially be used more for static targets. It's a lot harder to navigate into a moving target if you are just setting waypoints. Some examples of these are the USVs that are used in the Black Sea. These are being used to sink many of the Russian ships. They work very well. The Ukrainians have been employing them very successfully, and nothing says that the adversaries wouldn't be able to build this as well. So these are concerning. A number of people already have them, but the worst, the scariest parts are the fully autonomous systems. So thankfully, not that many people have fully autonomous systems. By fully autonomous, I mean that they do not rely on any external signals in order to navigate, in order to move. So the way it works is you have a camera, a number of cameras, potentially additional sensors, as well as a pretty powerful computer on board. Initially, they may be waypoint navigated to a certain area, and then the machine vision, the AI, if you will, can take over, and that would allow it to really navigate to get to a target without relying on any other signals. As you can imagine, that's pretty terrifying because these cannot be stopped by any jamming method. The only way you're going to be stopping them is kinetically. Thankfully, there are solutions to defend against this. Unfortunately, none of them are traditional solutions. Current solutions don't really offer you the level of protection to defend against these sorts of threats at the moment. The patrol boats, for example, that many of your departments probably already have, they are manned. If you have an unmanned drone boat packed with explosives going towards some sort of target, you probably don't want to be getting in its way or ramming it with a manned boat. That is a suicide mission. The other alternative, apart from ramming them with a manned boat, currently, is shooting them. But that is actually a lot harder than it sounds. When you have a vessel moving at 50 knots, and it is only sticking about a foot or two out of the water, you maybe have 20, 30 seconds to really detect it and intercept it before it is already where you are. So additionally, adversaries may be able to up-armor them pretty easily, so small arms fire is really not going to do anything against it. If you are able to hit it, and thanks to its maneuverability, it would be pretty hard to hit anyway. So as simple as it sounds, the solution to this threat is drone boats. At this point, I would usually tell you about how we can, in theory, do it, but today we're going to do something a little bit special, and we're going to actually invite you out to a demonstration right outside of this convention, and we're going to show you how an adversary's drone boat can be intercepted by one of our Typhoon USVs. So right now, we're going to be starting the demonstration around 10 minutes. If you head outside and turn right, you'll see the demonstration area where the Splash Industries tent is, and we definitely have something pretty special in store for you. So thank you for the presentation, and I'll see you soon if you're able to make it.